Welcome to another video from Handmade by Christine. This time we're doing shaker cards. So to make these shaker cards, let's run through what you'll need. So to mount the cards, I've got two 6-inch square cards, one A5 folded in half. Then I've got a square of 5.5 inches in a colour that will go with my sequins, and lots, about 6 or 8 squares, 5-inch squares. And for backing, we've got a piece that's slightly smaller than A6, so it's 10 by 14.3 centimetres, and two 5 3/4 inch backing pieces. Then we need sequins. I've chosen starry sequins to go with my star dies, and I've also got some extra bits and some sugar. And I've even coloured some sugar using a re-inker to make it go with the stars. Then I've got star dies, and I've got a die that says hello. I've got a greeting and ink to stamp it with. I've got my double-sided tape and pokey tool, and unusually for me, I've got wet glue, and I've chosen 3 different ones with different size nozzles. Not to forget some acetate. Don't lose it because it's see-through, and I've chosen a star embossing folder to go with my starry theme. So I'm going to set up my dies, and because I want each pass of the die to cut exactly the same, I'm going to actually sellotape the dies together. So I'm placing them as I want them, and then just using normal magic tape, I'm sticking them together. Now I'm not doing this on my top layer because it may be that the tape will stick to this layer here, but if it's one of the in-between layers, that won't matter. So get your muscle power going, because you've got several cuts to do. Make sure it's cut through cleanly before you remove it. And I'm just going to take away one of the layers so that the other one will shield subsequent card layers so they don't get stuck up as well. And I can make sure that everything's in line. So I'm squaring it up like that, ready to go through again. Then finally, position it on your top layer, like so. And now we can remove the dies, and because this has been through the die cutter so many times, it has stuck. But that's not going to show in the final card. I'll just ease it off using my pokey tool as best I can. There we are. Okay, and then I've got 2 squares of acetate that are about 5.5 inches, and I'm also going to cut out 2 each of the 2 largest stars. Now, depending on the thickness of your acetate, you might find that they don't actually cut with the Big Shot. Let's have a look. Yep, I've just got indentations rather than cuts. So I'm going to take them to one side and cut them with scissors, but at least I've got good guidelines of where I'm going to cut. While I've got the Big Shot out, I'm going to emboss the stars on my top layers. As you can see, it doesn't quite fit, so I'm going to put it through twice. And with a random pattern, that really doesn't matter. And I'm going to emboss 2 of my layers while I'm about it. And I put the larger piece through a second time to make sure it's completely covered with stars. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got. We've got 2 star embossed layers, 2 star embossed top pieces. We've got our acetate squares and stars, and we've got these star frames and this one. Now you can, this has got damaged by the tape going through the Big Shot so many times, but it's going to be hidden by this, so it won't matter at all. Now we come to the sticky part. Go all around the outline and stick your acetate shape to it and put that aside to dry. Then coming to the top piece, and I'm going to do the same with this size of star, and a similar thing with this one. I'm going to use my squares of acetate, so I'm going around the edge of the star and then around the edge of the square, so that the acetate will be well stuck down. And now, while those are drying, I'm going to build up my remaining stars. So that's my layer of 7 of the big stars, and I've got 1 white one with acetate underneath and the top one with acetate underneath. Now I'm going to do the same with the smaller stars. Now with the little stars, I'm going to do a pile just of 2, the top layer, or maybe 3. Let's do 3. And then I'm going to save these for another project, but I'll stick them together ready. Okay, so everything's dry. I've got a new cup of tea and we're ready to have some fun. First off, we need to stick the pile of stars on top of the bottom one that's got acetate beneath it. You need to make sure everything's pushed together firmly so that no bits of glitter or sequins or anything are going to escape. So going back to this one, I'm going to start putting some sequins in. Now, as I said, I'm using star sequins to go with my star designs. And they're in a variety of colours and sizes. So let's just, and you want enough but not too many. Got these tiny ones as well, they're really cute. And now I'm also going to add some of the sugar that I coloured yesterday. And it looks nice and sparkly in with the rest. Now you need to be really careful now not to put too much glue on. You want enough, but you don't want the glue seeping out and sticking to all the sequins. I'll place it carefully on and then put it to one side and repeat the process. And finally this one. Now I can go to town with this one because there's lots of space. And for an added bit, I'm just going to stick that in the middle. Okay, so now to assemble the cards. So for this one, I'm going to put it on the piece that I embossed with the stars earlier. Like so. And I'm also going to put a greeting across the top. So I'm using this Hello die, and I'm going to cut it out several times to bulk it up a bit. It's quite delicate, so I'm being quite careful removing it from the die. If I'd remembered, I could have put a piece of baking parchment in between the die and the card, and that does make the removal that bit easier, but never mind, it's coming. Pokey tool's invaluable for this sort of thing. So I'm going to listen to my own advice and use some baking parchment. Let's see what a difference that's made. Look, it just comes off like that. Brilliant. So I've got 4 white and my 2 blues to choose from. Incidentally, you might want to keep the spare bits to put in your negative space for some other card. So let's stick these together. You need a really fine nozzle for this, so this Stampin' Up! Glue is perfect. Okay, so that's the 4 white ones stuck together. Let's assemble the card and decide which colour we're going to use. So, shapes really nicely. I'm pleased with that, and we've got no escapees. Bit of glue on the back, and again I'm using the narrow point because I don't want to stray onto the acetate, because I've discovered glue doesn't dry clear on acetate. Press it down well. There we are. And that's going to go on this card, like so. to have a hello going across it. Now it could be dark blue, like so, which I quite like, or it could be, I think I'm going to do it with the pale. And you know, something that I really like is because when I cut them with the die, I had the dark on top. I've got little traces of the dark on the light blue, which gives it a sort of shabby chic look, I suppose, or anyway, that's a certain something. So I'm going to use this light blue one. Let's stick that on. And I really like the effect you get by layering up these greeting dies. They look so much more important, I suppose, than just one layer. And I always find that rather than trying to get something straight and missing, it's better to deliberately go at an angle. So there we go. This little one, I'm just going to stick the star onto my embossed background, and I'm going to add a greeting. But there we go with that one. And then finally we've got the large one. So let's mount all these pieces onto their cards. Okay, so here we are with 3 shaker cards completed. And I've carried on the starry theme on the inside and on the backs of the envelopes. And on one envelope I've used the spare hello. That's probably best if you're going to hand deliver a card. Not sure what would happen to it in the post office machines. And not forgetting to be proud of my work and making sure everything's the right way up. Handmade by Christine on the back. I hope you will give this technique a try. It works really well, much better than in the old days when I used to try using foam tape and losing all my shaker bits all over the place. Next time we're going to have a go with eclipse and shaker cards combined to give a new slant to both of those fun techniques. Goodbye and thank you for watching.